About picks 2 through 4 already. What are you hearing regarding the Giants and their plans at 5 and 10?
Well, Kevin, obviously a lot will depend on the first 4 picks in this draft. If the Cardinals can't trade out at 3, and if Arvell Reese slides down, it's hard to imagine that the New York Giants, even with the players they have at that position and the resources they've allocated to pass rushers, could bypass a player like Arvell Reese at that spot. That becomes a big decision. The Giants also might have opportunities to trade out, although that seems to be a bit far-fetched. Again, the Giants' search here, Arvell Reese could fall right into their laps at 5. They obviously could take a look at Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs. It's safe to say that somehow Columbus, Ohio is on the Giants' radar, and we'll see how that factors into their selections on Thursday night.
Peter, what are you hearing right now about the Giants' situation at 5 and potentially at 10?
It sure is a Columbus feel. I've got them taking Arvell Reese, and I haven't seen many mock drafts doing that, and hearing Adam say that does kind of give me to puff my chest a little bit, but that's only if he's still around at 5. Arvell Reese is such a fascinating prospect in this draft, but I covered the 2015 draft when everyone said Leonard Williams would be a top 3 pick. For whatever reason, he was sitting there at 6, and the Jets took him, and he fell out of the top 5. This feels like that's Arvell Reese here. There's a chance if Bailey goes 2, and then it's Love, and then it's Styles to the Titans, that Arvell Reese is there at 5. I will note this, though, Kevin. They like Jordan Tyson. I think 5's a little rich for Jordan Tyson. If he's there at 10, I think Jordan Tyson makes a lot more sense at 10 than 5.
Shefty, go in.
Well, Peter, yeah, if you like Jordan Tyson and you don't take him at 5, there's a possibility he's not going to make it to 10. And that is something the Giants have to wrestle with here, because there are any number of landing spots for Jordan Tyson. The New Orleans Saints at 8, the Kansas City Chiefs at number 9. A team like the Dallas Cowboys could potentially jump up ahead of the Giants. There are a lot of scenarios here for Jordan Tyson. If the Giants pass on Tyson at 5, there are no assurances he's going to be there for them at 10.
By the way, some
Draft week,
context there.
Kevin. Let's go.
And some context, the Cowboys have picks 12 and 20. We'll get to them in a moment, but I want to get your thoughts on the idea of the Giants at 5 and 10 building blocks for Harbaugh, and the idea that you get your defensive guy and maybe a guy that can help Jackson Dart, and Jordan Tyson's name keeps on going up.
Well, Jordan Tyson's name should be going up. This is a guy that when you watch the film, I know there's injury concerns, but this guy's flying all around, going up and catching the ball, torquing his bodies all type of ways to be able to come down with catches. He has that explosiveness that the Giants offense would need with a guy like Malik Neighbors coming off a major surgery, especially with a young quarterback like Jackson Dart. On the other side, you get a defender in Arvell Reese. We keep talking about his versatility. For the Giants, who have a lot of edge rushers, you can also play him at off-the-ball backer. We saw Abdul Carter have to do that in the game last year against the Kansas City Chiefs. Arvell Reese is a guy that was made to do these type of things and move around the field.
All right, we're going to stay in the NFC East and talk about another team that has 2 picks, and that is the Cowboys that I just mentioned at 12 and 20. What are you hearing, Shefty, right now about Dallas?
Well, I think in a perfect world, somehow the Dallas Cowboys could find a way to get Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles. Again, it's hard to imagine that could happen, and they don't have a second-round pick, and I don't think they're going to mortgage their draft to trade up. So those are pipe dreams potentially at number 12. If they're staying at 12, there is going to be some sort of defensive player that you would think could make a huge difference. Is that Mansour Delane? Could he get that far at that point in the draft? Also seems like that might be a bit of a stretch to get the top cornerback in this draft. Could Caleb Downs still be there at 12? Any one of these defensive players, in a perfect world, somehow, some way, the Dallas Cowboys figure out a way to get Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles. It's hard to imagine. But let me also just say this, and it's worth remembering going into the draft this weekend. They're nowhere with George Pickens right now. Nowhere with George Pickens. They are not really talking about an extension. They're not close to an extension. They're not getting a deal done at this point in time. He's on the franchise tag. That situation is just sitting out there. And the Cowboys are said to really like Jordan Tyson. So it's just one more subplot in a draft filled with them entering Thursday night.
By the way, the Cowboys having an issue with a star and a contract.
Yeah.
We just call that the rites of spring as we get ready going into the summer. And we see our guy Schrager smiling a lot because in your mock on ESPN.com released today, you had the Cowboys actually trading up from 12 to 9 to get a cornerback. What are you hearing?
It's Adam's right. It's a math game. They traded all these picks and they got rid of these players and they got 12 and 20. But the way the numbers are lining up in all of our simulations and talking to teams, it doesn't seem likely that Styles or Reese will be there. It doesn't seem likely that Downs will be there. It doesn't seem likely that Delane will be there. It doesn't seem likely that Ruben Bain will be there. So you're sitting at 12 if you're the Cowboys. You mortgaged all these defensive players to get these draft picks. At 12 and 20, you don't want to take the fifth pass rusher or the third defensive back. So I have them trading up 3 spots with Kansas City, swapping 12 and 20 for 9 and 29, and ensuring they get Mansour Delane for Christian Parker, their new defensive backs coach. But to Adam's point, I have heard the Jordan Tyson stuff as well. And remember, they took CeeDee Lamb in the 2020 draft when they did not need a wide receiver. And at that point, it was the best player on the board.
See, I love this conversation because going into this draft, I would have told you 100% Cowboys are going with 2 defensive guys in the first round. But you can't always get what you want. And if those guys aren't available, I think what Schefter is saying, the fact that they could walk away and get a receiver, a Jordan Tyson, in the first round, I would walk away and look at that and say, all right, Dallas got a ton better on the offensive side of the ball, but who the hell is playing defense for them? Who's going to go out there and try to stop somebody? They can put up 40 points, 30 points, whatever. Dak Prescott was unbelievable last year, and they still couldn't get to the playoffs. But this draft, that to me is the fun part about it, because for Jerry Jones and company, I want the best player on the board. I don't want to just draft a defender just because that's a weakness to me. So, you, Striggs, you may have to rip up the mock draft because you didn't have Jordan Tyson available to the Cowboys trading up. So I love it.
And by the way, if the Chiefs were to move off the 9th pick and allow a cornerback to go, considering their offseason, that would be a stunner as well. All right, let's continue the conversation about stunning developments in sports, and that is what NFL here. Pittsburgh hosting the draft starting tomorrow night, but the host team still doesn't have their starting quarterback. The Steelers still waiting to hear if Aaron Rodgers is coming back with no decision in sight. Yesterday on the program, Mike Tannenbaum said the Steelers need to give Rodgers an ultimatum. Listen to this.
You need to have a deadline here. You have the 21st pick, you have Will Howard, and you have Mason Rudolph. You absolutely need to know if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, are you in or you're out? If I'm the Steelers, I am picking Ty Simpson at 21, and I am moving forward.
It's the evergreen conversation, Aaron Rodgers and his future.
Let's
bring back Adam Schefter and Peter Schrager. All right, there are 2 things worth reacting to what we just heard from Mike T. Schefter, what are you hearing about Rodgers and where that decision may stand?
Look, it certainly seems like, once again, Aaron Rodgers is not in any rush to make a decision, and the Pittsburgh Steelers don't seem overly concerned about it. I think that they still believe, in the end, whenever he decides to sign on, he will come back to the Pittsburgh Steelers and be ready for the 2026 season. That's been what he's done in the past. He's been talking with Mike McCarthy, the Steelers head coach, on a regular basis. I think everybody's operating as if he will be back, but Aaron Rodgers likes to do things on his timeline, whenever that may be. I would think that he does come back, but again, there's still no firm answer from the quarterback himself.
Another evergreen conversation, Peter, when we're talking about the Steelers and right around draft time. Usually they're picking around 20, 21. Yep. This year it's 21. And the question is, will they take a quarterback? What are you hearing at this pick?
Yeah, I'm with Adam in that. Speaking of sources in Pittsburgh, there doesn't feel to be this pressure or this deadline demand. And I understand what Mike Tannenbaum was saying yesterday, but they seem to feel like we're okay with what we've got in-house, and we feel pretty confident that we have a plan moving forward. And quarterback does not seem to be the target at 21. If anything, it sounds like from sources around the league, offensive tackle. In my mock, I have them getting Monroe Freeling, the athletic tackle out of Georgia. It could be anybody at the tackle spot, or they could go in a different direction. But I do not think this is the Ty Simpson home at 21, where it was Kenny Pickett a couple years ago, and they were in a similar bind.
I look at this.
Listen, Mike. Sorry, Jimmy.
Schefter, go. You finish the thought here on this.
There's a bond between Mike McCarthy and Ty Simpson at the Combine. But I don't think the Steelers are going to go there in the first round. If somehow, some way, Ty Simpson happened to slip to them all the way in the second round, I think that becomes a real conversation in Pittsburgh. But they have enough other needs that I would not expect the pick at 21 to be quarterback, though they will also be open to moving back in the draft in the first round.
And some context, too. Teams that need a quarterback at the start of round 2, that is the Jets and Cardinals sit right there. What would you do if you're the Steelers and the idea of Ty Simpson?
When it comes to Ty Simpson, and I'll even involve Aaron Rodgers in this, I don't agree with Mike T in the sense of if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, regardless of an answer from Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to go about the draft the way that I see fit. So at the 21st pick, if they love Ty Simpson and they wanted to draft him and Rodgers told them, yes, I'm coming back, I would still draft Ty Simpson because you still need a quarterback for the future. So I don't think the decision of Aaron Rodgers should impact what they do with the 21st pick. I think to Schefter and what Schrager are saying, it never seemed as though that they were going to go quarterback at that pick. So I don't think it matters whether Rodgers tells them yes or no. You go with who you feel is the best situation in that pick. And it feels like offensive tackle would better suit them there. And if in the later rounds of Nessmeyer or Drew Aller or somebody they see there, may be where they want to get a quarterback.
Peter, jump in here.
The Ty Simpson of it all is fascinating. He is planned to be at the draft tomorrow and sitting in the green room. He is of the belief that he will be a first-round pick. No player comes to the draft to sit in the green room not to get drafted. I currently do not have a team that I know that is waving up and down and saying, we're the Ty Simpson team. The expectation is that the Cardinals or the Jets either trade up back into the end of the first round to go and get Ty Simpson to make the fifth-year option a possibility, or someone sits in the second round. But I would be watching Ty Simpson over the next 24 hours. If he goes to the theater and he is sitting there in the green room, I would believe that he has been told that he is a first-round pick. If those plans suddenly change tomorrow and he's not in the green room, I would believe that he has not been given the assurance that he is a first-round pick.
I don't care whether he's there or not. There's nobody that's going to guarantee Ty Simpson that he's going to be a first-round draft pick. He has a decision to make about whether he wants to be there or not. He's planning to be there. That's the current plan. But there's not a team out there that's going to tell him, we plan to take you in round 1.
And keep in mind, we went through this a year ago with Jackson Dart.
Yep.
It worked out for the Giants jumping in the 20s and getting their quarterback. The NFL Draft from Pittsburgh begins tomorrow at 8 Eastern. Greeny, Mel, Kiper Jr., Lewis, Booger, Schefter. They'll have every pick once again on ESPN, also available on the NFL Network. And as always, ABC's coverage focusing on the prospect's journey to the draft. Shout out to Schefter, who's continuing to work the phones here. Appreciate his time here on Get Up. Coming back to our big